Welcome everybody to another episode of our interviews with the winners of the Love Me Crazy Science Film Festival. Today we are interviewing Andreas Ewels, who is the director of the World of Viruses, the film that has won the prize of the best TV show in the third edition of our festival, as well as other prizes such as the Sila Festival Prize. Welcome Andreas, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Right.
So, as a presentation, Andreas has worked for renowned German newspapers, radio programs, and TV shows, and is especially well known for his documentaries on nature and the environment, such as the one we will be talking about today. So, well, first of all, thank you very much for the interview, and congratulations for winning the festival this year.
Yeah, it was a great honor for me, a great surprise, and it's a great festival. And so myself and the whole team were all really happy about it. And one colleague of mine named Martin, he came to accept the award because I was filming in Patagonia at that time. So, but now the award is safe in Germany, and we are all very happy. And thank you very much to you and the whole team.
That's great. So in this interview, I would like to ask you first about the scientific aspects of the film, because there's a lot in that. Later on, I'd like to comment more of the cinematic aspects of it, and finally, I would like to talk about yourself and what you do. Okay?
Sounds good.
Great. So first, for the people who have not watched the film, I will try to briefly explain the main thesis, which is that the film explores the relationship between the destruction of nature, such as the shrinking of rainforest mass and diversity of species, with the emergence of viruses, such as the well-known COVID-19. So could you briefly explain this idea to the listeners, please?
Well, that's definitely a very difficult question and really hard to explain, but I will try my very best. In order to understand the complex interrelationships, we have to start with some facts. So we humans actually do not know almost nothing about where the viruses come from in general. So we also do not know how long they've been on that planet. And we also don't know if they are real beings like creatures or parasites. So we have no real idea of what viruses actually are.
Okay.
What we know is that we found almost 2 million animals who worked as a host for a virus, so they had a virus inside. But just 9,000 types of viruses were discovered so far.
Wow.
So, but that's a really low number, and there are definitely millions, better say countless of other types of viruses that we have not discovered so far, or that we'll never discover at all, because there are so many.
Okay.
And the reason why we just concentrate on some viruses are because most of the viruses are harmless, and therefore they are meaningless for us as human beings.
Okay, so are they harmless just for us, for the human beings, or are they harmless in general, even for animals or other species?
Sometimes for animals as well, most of the time, of course, for human beings.
Okay.
And of course, viruses are especially interesting for us when they harm human beings, or they harm like cows, people, or animals we work with. Then we have a problem also. So when they threaten people, then we take care of them and like to find more about them. And to give you a bit, there are many reasons actually where viruses come from or where they show up first. But in our case, of course, we are talking about COVID-19.
Yeah.
And COVID-19 is a zoonosis, so a virus which came from an animal. So people know, and that's pretty sure, that it came from a bat. And so there, because of these zoonoses, there is a strong connection with nature. And there is one sentence in our film which says, if you're destroying nature, you make sure sure that you will have the next pandemic.
Yeah.
And to explain that, it's like that. You have to imagine an intact rainforest. So in an intact rainforest, there are, in an ideal version of an intact rainforest, there are no human beings. So there is no interaction between animals in the rainforest and the human beings, so there is nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And in that rainforest, you find several types of, for example, there are other animals, but for our case, we now take bats. There are many bats, like there's an A bat, a B bat, C bat. So we just named them A, B, C to give them now an easy name.
Yeah.
And then get the idea. Now the human being is coming into the rainforest, taking the wood out of it, destroying the rainforest, and then some types of bats will not survive. Let's, for example, say B and C. Before they were extinct, it was a really healthy, let's say healthy neighborhood, because when there was virus, just say in group A, the bad group A, and never came to B and C, and within A they got immune after a while, and so the virus was not a big problem. And now, after the rainforest is destroyed, there's just bad A,
mm-hmm.
and the virus can't go to wilder fields, like it goes to bed A, which was now 100 kilometers away. It's going to infect the bed there, and it stays all in group A, and the virus is getting stronger and stronger. And there are human beings are in the forest as well, and some of them, they like to eat the so-called bushmeat, for example.
Yeah.
So they eat the bat, they come in contact with the bat, and like, let's say 100 times, for example, you eat a bat and or you eat bushmeat, and in general, nothing is going to happen. But then one day, it definitely will happen that one virus, which is in a bushmeat, let's say in our bat A, can connect to you, and goes around the border and comes into the human body.
Yeah.
And then you have the zoonosis is in your body, and then first you have an epidemic, and after, when it's growing and more people are involved, you have a pandemic.
Yeah.
So you had that with Ebola, you had that with HIV, and you had it with Corona, and that's basically the problem. If you are destroying nature, you will definitely get more zoonoses in the future, and that was a film about, and we talked about scientists with that, and they work on that in areas like in Panama, in Ghana, and they are pretty sure. And when we talked to them, it was before this pandemic started, and then they said, well, we will have for sure a big pandemic within the next 5 years, and actually they were wrong. It was within 3 years.
Wow. Okay. That's a little scary. So basically, the main claim of the film then it is that the more we destroy nature, the more likely it is for us to have pandemics. Is that right?
This is 100% true. Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's a strong message for people to take home. And connected to that, you mentioned that you traveled to several countries. I think Panama, Ghana. You also had images from Wuhan in the documentary. So how would you say the globalization of, first, obviously the pandemic was a global issue. And how do you think the globalization affected the spread of viruses among human populations?
Yeah, well, life on our planet changed a lot, actually. And we humans travel more and more, professionally and privately. And we are moving more into areas where we have not been before.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look to the borders, they are hardly to cross for criminals or terrorists, but for viruses, it's no problem at all. And the past pandemic has shown that we are almost defenseless. And one of the most important questions of the future should be, how can we prevent the spread of viruses in the future? In the moment, we have current problems with deal with a war against Ukraine, against Russia, and of course the climate change. But now I feel a little bit that the focus is away again from the virus. But I just can say there will be another pandemic in the future, and so we definitely make sure that we are better prepared than last time.
And what would you say is the advice to avoid that scenario of a new pandemic?
Well, there's probably no easy advice. It's a little bit depressing, but I have to say, honestly, there's not much we can do about it in general as a normal person.
Okay.
But well, there will be definitely a new virus in the next 5 years. It can take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Actually, nobody knows because the virus just appears from one day to the other.
Yeah.
But at that point, we should have learned from the past pandemic and made better preparations.
Okay.
We should also hope that the virus continues to be merciful because, as you maybe know, there are other viruses in the animal life who are much more, let's say, brutal or dangerous. Like with the China virus that rabbits have, it's like that. It goes together with a massive bleeding. You bleed out of or the rabbits bleed out of your ears, their ears, their nose, their mouth, and then it's really hard to see when rabbits like that die because it's not a good picture, to be honest. And then also it's the same virus but another type. The rabbits just die from one moment to the other. So this is different to the virus we have right now because happily nobody's bleeding in advance, and we can see in advance when somebody is getting ill. With this other China plus virus that rabbit gets, you don't see any symptoms in advance. So they just run around happily, and then just from one moment to the other they die, and you have no chance to see in advance that they had the virus. So we just can hope that it's nothing going to happen, and of course we can take some of the things we learned from the past pandemics also to our normal life. Like when you traveled in Asia years before, you all saw these Asians wearing the mask, and I think when you go on longer trips and are in an airplane or in the bus for a longer time, it's still a good idea to keep the mask on and to try to travel as safe as possible. And also, if you feel any symptoms that you have the chance to make a test, just do it so that you know if you are okay and if you are not. And if you are not a problem not only for yourself, you are a problem for others.
So, for society.
You have to think it that way as well, that you care for others, and so that's probably one or two things you can do yourself to prevent another pandemic. Yes.
Okay, that's good to know, especially now that, like, again, the media attention is not on the COVID. Things are starting to relax. Maybe just thinking of keeping our masks and staying home if we're feeling sick. That's a good advice.
Yeah, and I just said many things really sound a little bit bad, like when I talked the disease Chinese plague, but that the rabbits have and other things. But I think people shouldn't panic at all. We have to live with the virus. Now, after that pandemic we all experienced in the last 2 years, we know how it is, and we should know that a new pandemic could be different. But there's no reason to panic. It's more like you have to include it in your life, and you have to be aware of. And that's basically what I like to say. And I'm definitely not like to say, hey, we all have to get crazy. We all have to panic. So we all have to know what's going on, and that a new virus can come at any time. And so we have to ask our politicians to find new regulations to close borders really quick when there is a new pandemic somewhere else in another country, so that the virus is not spreading like it was this time all over the world. But we should take it as normal and not like, oh, it's a panic situation.
Okay.
We just have to watch for it and take care.
Okay, that's good. So I would also like to talk about the cinematic aspects of the film, because it's a very good produced TV show. I really enjoyed it. And one of the things that struck me most is that I think the show was completed in April 2020. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, it was like just the very beginning of the pandemic. So I was just wondering, how did you manage to get all the images from Germany, Ghana, Panama? I think you also went to Switzerland. Are these all like recordings of that exact moment, or were you planning to film the documentary beforehand and you had filmed recorded pieces, or how did that work?
No, actually it was that I came up with the idea for that documentary in 2016.
Wow, okay.
And first of all, people told me also at the ZDF, so the broadcaster where I'm working for, well, nobody cares about viruses and a pandemic. It's not going to happen. It's something like from that movie Outbreak, and so far away from the real life. And so many people at the ZDF and also colleagues of mine at other channels, when I talked to them about my project, said, well, no, that's boring. That will not happen. We're living in different times. And I said, well, I don't think so. And I started to talk with scientists. And then I found two very well-respected and well-known scientists from Germany. And they said, yeah, we are working on that project. And we get the same response. Everybody said, what are you doing? There's nothing going to happen. And but they said, and that's what they also said in the first time when we filmed with them in 2017, they said, well, we will have a pandemic within the next 5 or 10 years. And I said, well, okay, that's kind of close, because I thought I also had that feeling that we will get a pandemic, but I was thinking of like 50 or 100 years. And they said, no, we are coming closer, and you just have to watch out. And so yeah, we started to film in 2017 and filmed again in 2018, and and in that year we had a shorter version of that film in German television, and it was no success at all. Nobody cared, and everybody said the same, like they said before.
Wow.
Not going to happen. It's like a horror scenario which will not going to happen. But then in February, actually everything started in December 2019 when they had the people in Italy. Then they called me and said, well, there's something going on with the virus. Get ready. Maybe you do another documentary and take some of the footage you already filmed within the new documentary. And so we filmed the main part of that new documentary in March 2020 and mixed it together with the stuff we already filmed, and that was actually then the version which won of the festival. So we had a lot of stuff which was not possible to film anymore in 2020 because traveling was not possible anymore to Ghana or Panama, but we were still able to film in Switzerland, and in Switzerland we were at the laboratory where they had all the blood samples from the people who died in the Bergamo area, so in northern Italy. And so we mixed it together, and that was the film. And so at the end, sadly, the scientists we filmed with, they were also with us in March. And yeah, they were completely right.
Wow, that's crazy. It's like you have such a clear vision of what was happening, and also perfect timing, sadly, but wow, okay. So
it's really sad to say, but you're right. It's perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect.
From a filmmaker, yes. From, of course, somebody who suffered from the virus, definitely not yet.
No, yeah, obviously, yeah. It's a sad timing. I also want to talk about the broadcaster you're working for, ZDF, right? It's
Right.
it's a public television channel in Germany for those of the listeners who don't have never heard of it. And you also, like, the prize you won in our festival was for the best TV show. So I wanted to ask you, do you think that TV shows about science and nature are relevant in public television, and how do you think they can be beneficial for society?
Yeah, they are definitely relevant. The ZDF is, together with the BBC in England, the largest public broadcaster in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I also worked before for private channels, and private channels always have to focus on films and documentaries where you get a big, huge audience.
Yeah.
And for example, like I said, the pandemic film, I wouldn't probably nobody wouldn't gave me the chance to do that documentary,
Mm-hmm.
the private channel, because everybody would say, well, no, that's boring, that's too much science in it. So I'm happy that we have the ZDF, and we also have the RAD, which is
Mm-hmm.
the second public broadcaster in Germany, and they have the possibility to broadcast films which are not just for the ratings, not for to have the goal to have as many viewers as possible. They also can tell stories that are not popular at the moment, and that gives us as filmmakers the chance to tell different, complete, complex, or stories which are not like easy, not like fast food. Yeah, you enjoy them easily. You can put a lot of science in it, a lot of context, and so I'm happy that we have the ZDF in Germany and that they give us a chance to do documentaries like that. And in this case, of course, it was really a successful cooperation. Yes.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's a very important message, that documentaries like this help spread messages that might not be very commercial, but still important. And like maybe maybe linking it with that as well. Apart from your journalistic and filmmaking works, you also founded a festival. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Is it Naturel, or how do you pronounce it?
In the German style, you would say Naturale.
Naturale, okay. So the festival Naturale, it's a travel and nature festival in Wiesbaden. And I think you are also involved in other initiatives that have the aim of spreading the love for nature and cinema among the people. And well, as you probably know, our festival, Love Me Crazy, also has a very similar approach, and our objective is also to spread this love for science. So why do you think this type of initiatives are important and valuable?
Well, actually, we started Naturale in 2018, and you're definitely right. It's a festival for, we have nature documentaries,
Mm-hmm.
we have environmental documentaries, and we have travel documentaries. And we want to inspire people, and we want to inspire people to learn more about nature, to take care more about the environment, and they should take care more about sustainable travel, sustainable tourism.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main idea of this festival. And we became quite successful because we started like with 2 people, and now the state of Hesse, where Wiesbaden is located, is involved, so it became bigger and bigger and
that's
bigger.
very good.
And our main goal actually is not to reach the same people all like nature film festivals reach, because most nature film festivals in Germany, people who are already into nature, who are involved with nature, they go to these festivals. We try to reach people from other parts of the society who maybe were never in touch with nature before, and we like to inspire these people. But of course, all the others are welcome as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we like to cross new frontiers and to find new people to inspire them. Because if we have any chance to to save this planet is just like when we are all working together. It's not like not you Green Party people work on it and the others just have fun. No, we have to have one community working and fighting for this planet, fighting for nature and for a better environment. And yeah, well, that's the idea we have behind this festival, and so far it's going well, and we hope we can grow and even get more people this year in December when we have our next Naturale here in Start, Germany, which is just 20 kilometers away from Frankfurt International Airport.
Good. Well, I wish you the best of luck for this edition of the festival. And maybe we can take back one of the sentences you just said. If we have any chance of saving this planet, it's working all together. So I think that can be the message for people to take home. So those are all the questions on my side, Andreas. Thank you very much for taking the time to talking to me. And I hope we can see you any other time in next year's in our festival.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. And it was a pleasure to talk with you. And I think your festival is a brilliant festival. I was there in 2019 and I enjoyed it a lot. It's a fantastic festival. We also learned a lot from your festival, and I hope you will find the time to visit us in Wiesbaden and celebrate with us and learn from our festival. Yeah, and hopefully I will be next year with you in Pamplona. So thanks very much for having me here, and hope to talk to you soon again.
Thank you very much.